Some of the texts of the New Testament were written in uppercase and are called uncials. The majority of manuscripts, however, were written in lowercase and are called minuscules. There are over 2,000 minuscules, with a little over 100 containing the revelation of John. The minuscules, like their uncial counterparts, are paleographically dated, ranging from the 9th to the 19th centuries. The paleographic dates of the minuscules with the revelation of John range from the 10th to the 19th centuries. The minuscules are of late vintage, even with their paleographic dates, ranging from a millennium to almost 2 millennia from the alleged date of the composition of John's book. Applying chain of custody to the manuscripts gives a far different provenance to the documents, especially for those dated earlier. For example, minuscule 82 is assigned a 10th century date by paleographical analysis. Chain of custody would assign a 19th century date when the parchment document entered the historical record. Minuscule 42 is assigned an 11th century date by paleography. Chain of custody would require an early 18th century date. There are some minuscules, unlike the uncials, that have dates within the manuscript. These dates are found in what are called colophons. For the most part, the dates in the minuscules are not Christian era dates, but dates reckoned from the creation of the world. Scholars correlate the creation of the world chronology with a modern Christian chronology to assign what are believed to be hard dates. For example, minuscule 18 is dated precisely as 1364 of the Common Era, or Anno Domini. But this statement is not technically true. The colophon actually gives the year 6872, which is then calculated into the modern chronology as 1364. Unfortunately, modern scholars normally only refer to the adjusted date without informing the reader that this is not the original date. Again, it is important to note that the correlation of dates from original chronologies, such as the beginning of the world, with our current chronology is fundamentally flawed. A cursory look at the minuscules indicates that from a chain of custody perspective, the earliest minuscules with the Book of Revelation can be no older than the 15th century. There is a handful of minuscules that could possibly date to the 15th century, though the documentation in each case is not certain. However, these particular manuscripts are either partial or complete canons of the New Testament. The problem lies in the fact that the New Testament canon was not established until the middle of the 16th century at the Council of Trent. Currently, there are over 120 papyri with a portion of the New Testament. 7 of the papyri are fragments of the Apocalypse. The Revelation papyri are paleographically dated between the 2nd and 7th centuries. Three of the 7 papyri are part of the Oxyrhynchus papyri, which were discovered in the late 19th and early 20th centuries at an ancient rubbish dump near Oxyrhynchus, Egypt. Their provenance must refer to the discovery date, whatever paleography claims. One papyri is part of the Chester Beatty collection. The Chester Beatty papyri are of dubious origin, having been most likely obtained by dealers in illegal antiquities. They were first publicly announced in 1931. The oldest papyri fragment, as claimed by paleographical analysis, is P98. It was first published in 1971. P43, dated to the 7th century, was found at Wadi Sarga, Egypt, during the winter of 1913-1914, and first made public in 1922. P85, dated to the 4th or 5th century, was first published in 1969 and may be part of the Oxyrhynchus papyri. Almost all the papyri of the Apocalypse of John were discovered or first made public in the 20th century. The earliest provenance for the Apocalypse papyri is the late 19th century.